Hey everyone, this week's podcast sponsored by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt is ready to put their over 30 years worth of off-road experience to work for you. From turnkey builds to rolling chassis to an awesome selection of parts, the Racing in the Dirt staff has got you covered. Brake kits, aluminum hub kits, enclosed chain drives and kits, drive shaft loops, and even DIY wheelie bar kits, all available. So let Scott, Shane, and the crew at Racing in the Dirt get you the competitive edge you need. Give them a call at area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. Or find them on Facebook or even racinginthedirt.com. That's racinginthedirt.com and the UPS Daily. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Paddle Talk. Glad to have you with us. With me, as always, is producer-engineer Billy Teeters, and we are going to start the show off this week talking some Mud Racers Association dirt drags from DTs Dirt Drags down in Mississippi. Billy was on site with his brother Cody and is here to fill us in. So I already know it was hot. I already know it was humid. But what's the more of the story, as Paul Harvey would say there, Billy?
Well, first of all, yes, it was hot. The heat was miserable itself. But the racing was exciting. They had local classes running on top of the MRA schedule as well. I did not know they ran a bunch of index classes down there in Mississippi. They got a 5.0 index, a 460 index, 435 index, and a 4.0 index. And then they do a Pro ET, which is basically an open, well, it's not open bracket class. It's a 435 to, I don't know, 550 or something like that.
Before we get any further, the local classes are all 300 foot also, correct?
Correct. Yep. All the local classes are 300 foot. And something interesting about these local classes is the red light rule. I heard about it from Matt Willis, and I did not really know what to expect until I saw it, and it was pretty crazy. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of this before, because I never have. So at this race, it was just the locals. Obviously, the MRA doesn't do this stuff, but so say Isaac and I are racing each other at in one of their classes, right? And well, first I should say this: at half track, they got these other set of red lights right at half track. So there's like a big pole, and then on each side of the pole, there's a red light. So like if somebody red lights, you can clearly see it. So me and Isaac are racing, and I red light. The red lights come on. Both of us slam on our brakes. We back up, and we stage, and we do it again. Everybody's allowed one red light. And I used to think it was per race that goes up, like each pair gets a red light, but I actually think now it's per class, like one person per class. And when like you hear about that rule and then you see it in person, it's like, what just happened? So
that's crazy.
So and you'll see it in the WSDN TV episode that comes out whenever it comes out, because I'm trying to get caught up. In this video I took for WSDN TV, the trucks took off. One of the guys red lit, so they stomped on the brakes and they back up and they staged again, and they take off and there's no red lights, but the guy who red lit the first time won the race. So he got to move on in the winner's bracket, and the other guy went on to the loser's bracket. And it's just like, I even asked the question, it's like, is that fair? Should that be fair? Is this crazy? But I mean, I guess it's normal down there, but it's mind-blowing to us. But it's normal down there. So like, I'm trying to stay in that zone or like, okay, I get it. It's what they do down here. And that's cool. At the same time, it's like, that's mind-blowing. Like, that's crazy. Isaac, would you guys ever do something like that at a pro truck race?
So the only thing I can remember is it used to be down at like Cleves and Brookville and stuff. Theirs was first red light loses automatically. So if you say you were dialed at, we'll say you were dialed in at a 4.0 and I was dialed in at a 450, and you saw me leave and the red light came on, you could just let go of the trans brake button and leave, because the way they had it was the first red light was the worst red light, no matter how bad the second red light was.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Michigan, Missouri, the other track at that point in time, there was a couple tracks in Michigan where all the opposite was worst red light loses. So say I went 001 red and you were leaving second, you went 030 red, I actually would win the round and move on to the next round.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that caused some angst between a lot of the racers that would come up from Indiana and Ohio for a while.
That's crazy, because the first way you explained it, first is worse. I mean, that's how we do it down here, and I think that's pretty much anywhere you go now. But
yes, yeah,
that would stir some things up.
That was not the case, and more than once I heard of some pretty heated discussions over that.
It's I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that at all. But yeah, this DTs Dirt Drag Mud Racers Association race was awesome. Yes, the locals ran 300 foot. The MRA ran 200 foot. Really have to give a big shout out to our guys at Racing in the Dirt. First of all, because they sponsor us and we greatly appreciate them. But
absolutely.
Racing in the Dirt, Scott and Shane, and all of their customers that were there, all the drivers who trust Scott and Shane to either build or just tune their stuff. They were working on 13 different vehicles at this race. And that's pretty amazing when you look at it. And really, I just took a step back and looked, and I counted. I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13. Wow, there's 13 Racing in the Dirt vehicles right in front of me right now. And it definitely pays off, because these guys won 4 of the 7 classes. And yeah, hell, Rick George won 3 of them by himself. And you'll hear it whenever we pass this over to myself and Keith Mitchell. But yeah, these guys were on point. So big shout out to Racing in the Dirt. These guys got it done for sure. And parking those things in the winner's circle, making some customers happy. And it really shows what a chassis builder and how good they are does whenever you see that many cars in the winner's circle. And not to mention numerous records could have been broken, but the backup passes did not go as planned. Some people ran the personal best. Tyler Coolidge ran his fastest pass ever, 2:00 with a 9. That close from 1 second. And that's another thing. I saw my first ever 1 second pass in 200 foot. And Kevin Harrison ran 198, but then first Jim Ingram ran a 196 on paddles. So that was really impressive to see. That was really awesome to see. But yeah, this race was such a blast. Me and Cody had fun. The drive home was horrible, but it was a great time. It was a great time. Big shout out to Don and Tyler as well. They were fantastic. They run a great track. They're doing great things. And it's really impressive to see what these guys can do going forward, because the track is awesome.
And I had heard even that, I mean, by all accounts, everybody I've talked to and everything I've seen on social media, fantastic race and everything else. And that was even though there was a track, within 45 minutes of their track that actually scheduled right on top of them on the same night, correct?
Correct. And there might have been some karma from that as well. I was talking to Dawn, right, when me and Cody were leaving, and Dawn said that she had an update from the other track. Whenever we got done racing on Saturday night, they were just starting the second round over there at the other track. And then there was, I don't know if this is true or not, but they said that there was a 15-man brawl on the starting line at that other race too. So not only are you running late as hell, but then you're dealing with bullshit drama on top of that. So
wait a minute, I'm just going to correct you there. I'm just from personal experience. There is no way it was a 15-man brawl, because I guarantee being down there, there had to have been at least a couple wives, girlfriends, whatever, that had something going on in that thing too. So we want to be correct and just, give credit or no credit where it's due. So we'll just say a melee. How's that?
Yeah, a 15-person brawl.
There we go. So,
yeah.
And also a little sidebar here. If somebody has any kind of footage and wants to forward that to worldsandragnews.com, we'd love to take a peek at
it. yeah. We'll just peek at it. We won't post it though, but we definitely do want to see it.
A scout's honor.
Yeah, we won't post it, but we definitely do want to see it because karma calls for that though. Because according to Tyler, they had a verbal agreement. They were like, "Yeah, we don't schedule on top of each other." And just because the MRA's in town, they thought they could schedule on top of DTs, and the spectators showed up to DTs, I think, because it was packed from starting line all the way even past the finish line. And they had them back, they're not right on the guardrail, they're about 20 foot back or so they were safe distance away. So it was still the spectators still showed out. It was a great night of racing. We had a great time. We sure did. Got to give a big shout out to Team Patriot, give a big shout out to Caraher Electric, Nightmare Racing, and Racing in the Dirt for helping me and Cody get out there. We surely appreciate you guys just to bring you the coverage we did. I promise YouTube stuff is coming from that event. It is taking me some time. I'm trying to get caught up with some personal life stuff as well. But yeah, we are going to have some awesome content for you guys coming out soon from the MRA races as a whole. So be ready for that.
Absolutely. And so now that that's settled, then we are on to the MRA finals. The return to Upper Merrimack Dirt Drags in Cook Station, Missouri, correct?
That's right. And Caleb will be making the trip out there. He's going to take the flight to St. Louis and make a drive to Upper Merrimack Dirt Drags in Cook Station, Missouri, where Isaac went for their first event of the year. So, Caleb will have his first experience with the MRA.
Having been to the West Coast and covered stuff out there, having been to Missouri, I'm not sure Caleb knows what he's in for yet.
well, Caleb's been to Thunder Valley, so I mean it's the other side of the state, but at least he's been to Missouri before, so he knows the weather. So we'll see. We'll see how his time. And I still think, and before anybody jumps to conclusions, we're not saying he's going to have a terrible time. It's just
no.
Caleb lives in California, and he's going to somewhere in Missouri that's hard to get service. So, and Caleb does a lot of technology stuff for work. So that's why it's kind of funny to us. So
that's exactly why it's funny. It's going to be just,
but Caleb,
talk about out of touch.
We'll see if Caleb
can rough it. Of out of touch.
Yeah. But he'll persevere for sure. But you can hear more about this DT's Dirt Drags race in just a few minutes, actually, when we pass it over to Keith Mitchell and myself. So yeah, but this race was a ton of fun, Isaac.
Fantastic, man. Hey, love it. And you know what? Our partnership with the MRA has gone very well this year. Hope you guys all enjoy the content when we bring it. And I know Billy's been working hard on the YouTube content. And I can't wait to see it myself. So it's been a really, really good year. And hopefully good things yet to come as far as that goes. And really looking forward to this season-ending race there. So, all right. So that wraps up our coverage together of the DT's Dirt Drags. And we're going to kick it over to Billy and the voice of the MRA, Keith Mitchell. Keith, shameless plug here. Great guy, has helped us out a ton this summer with keeping us up to date on what's going on in the MRA, kind of explaining some things when we had questions and stuff. Super nice guy. And I tell you what, though, walk softly, carry a big stick. They don't call him the Keystone Killer for nothing because he has a bad, bad hot rod. So let's kick it over to that interview right now. Hey, everyone. This week's podcast sponsored by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt is ready to put their over 30 years worth of off-road experience to work for you. From turnkey builds to rolling chassis to an awesome selection of parts, the Racing in the Dirt staff has got you covered. Brake kits, aluminum hub kits, enclosed chain drives and kits, dry shaft loops, and even DIY wheelie bar kits, all available. So let Scott, Shane, and the crew at Racing in the Dirt get you the competitive edge you need. Give them a call at area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. Or find them on Facebook or even racinginthedirt.com. That's racinginthedirt.com and the UPS Daily.
Welcome back to Paddle Talk. I'm with Keith Mitchell of the Mud Racers Association, and we're going to talk about the race that just previously happened at DTs Dirt Drags in Gore Springs, Mississippi, where the Mud Racers Association had their, what was it, fourth race of the year.
That would have been the fourth race. Yep.
Yeah. And before we get into these results, like I said, we got Keith Mitchell here with us. And before we talk about the event, really, Keith, how did the event go for you?
I mean, the track's always good as it always is. I mean, the track was heavy, needed a lot of power. We struggled the first night with our clutch, underestimated the track, and had a hard time getting the clutch to play catch up. So we reset the clutch up for Saturday, and so we ended up third Friday night, luckily, with clutch slipping out a long ways. Reset the whole thing up in a different fashion for Saturday. I believe his first pass was working really well. And but the track was either you were really fast on the track or it was unpredictable and had a chance to throw you around a little bit. First pass we left Saturday night on the cuts, went straight about 80 feet and shot over to the guardrails. Luckily, I collected before we hit off of them. Unlike a few of our good friends and competitors that left their signature on the guardrails. But so we come back around for the second pass and made our best 60-foot time. The car was flying and the bottom fell out when the sheared all the bolts off the crankshaft for the flywheel. So it kind of ended the night in a bad taste. But
I did not know that kind of carnage happened on your part.
Yeah, it was. And then come to find out since then, of course, it hit the rev limiter when everything broke loose and hurt one cylinder. So we'll be fixing lots of parts before the finals.
And then your best pass that got you third place in modified paddles was a 2.2529 seconds. And it looks like your best reaction time was a 4:21.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, so that's good enough for third place for you in the modified paddles. And then the modified cuts. And then cuts are a bit more challenging than paddles, aren't they?
Typically, yeah. I mean, you got to have a good setup to, the paddle tires they just work. You can kind of miss the setup a little bit and they work. The cuts are absolutely more delicate to find the right setup to get them down the track and make good time.
So, and then modified cuts, you said your first pass, you went left. And then what happened on your second pass for modified paddles? Or no, I'm sorry. That was not your first pass for modified. I'm sorry. I got my classes mixed up. Modified cuts.
Making me think you're also.
I'm sorry about that.
The paddles, I think we had the back pedal on the first pass, second pass, we got down the track, but it was used all the track up to get down the track. So it's not the best time. So,
yeah.
And then, like you say, the clutch was slipping out quite a ways. So couldn't get a good clutch log up to make up some time. So is what it is.
Yeah. Well, then how did the race go as a whole for the MRA? I seen there was a lot of people who had a great time, and then me and my brother personally, we had a great time ourselves. First time at DTs, it was a different experience for sure. And but how do you think the association, how the race went for the association itself? There was a ton of spectators.
No, I mean, I think the whole event went off without a hitch. Racing went very well. We got the shows in on a very timely event, and so I think it went well. Cars were, like you say, the track was tricky. The cars were either breaking records or you were struggling to get down the track. to stay it all, keep it off the guardrails. It was a tricky track, but it's a shame we broke at least 3 records over the weekend, but they couldn't be backed up because the track just changes a lot as we went through the night. So I had to really do a lot of reading and try to figure out why the track would kick your car, it goes straight, throw you towards the guardrails, left or right, didn't even seem to matter. But everybody had their hands full.
That second round on Saturday seemed a lot more difficult for everybody than the rest of the weekend really went, just because I don't know what really changed. I know they watered it quite heavily the first 60 feet going into that second round on Saturday, but it seemed like it brought a different challenge than the rest of the weekend did on Saturday in the second round.
Well, that's the thing with with the dirt you're running. Friday night you're figuring things out. They rework it on Saturday. Different time, you're struggling to keep moisture in the track and everything else, but they chisel plowed up and got good and flat and disc it in. And no, I mean that's the fun part about dirt. It's always a challenge. It changes a lot, changes constantly with the weather and what comes up out of the ground and whatnot. So always a challenge, yeah.
Well, you weren't kidding about that track being heavy. They ripped it for a good 5 minutes or so, and I went and stand on what seemed pretty fluffy, and it felt like I was just standing on top of a pile of rocks or something like that. That track was very heavy, but it calls for some good hook when it's that heavy, right?
Absolutely, yeah. No, they added a bunch of clay to that track a couple years, I think about 2 years ago. They had a bunch of clay and got it mixed. Now they're getting it mixed in. It's becoming a good consistency and takes a lot of power. I mean, like you just see, we're breaking records at that track. So there's some good hook in it.
Seems like most of the 200-foot records might be held at DTs, huh?
I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah, well, the ones that mainly people were trying to back up, those were already set at DTs. I know the modified paddles that Justin was going for.
Right.
I know that the record that his dad currently holds still was set at DTs, and then there was another one. I actually think the open paddles or open cuts record was set there too, I think.
Open cuts, I think you're right.
Okay. All right. Open cuts. We'll see. I was right about one of them.
I think open paddles are still, that record's still held in Virginia.
Well, you were talking about some friends tagging the guardrail and giving it a signature and whatnot. And that was mainly in the second round of the what is it? It was modified cuts. Actually.
Modified. I know a couple of modified cut guys, and some of the outlaw trucks jumped up, and a couple of my good friends and competitors scuffed up their tires, did a little bit of damage to their cars, but luckily they come out better than it could have been. So
yeah, Jesse Brown was the first one to tag it it was both times in the left lane that I seen. The right, he tagged the right guardrail in the left lane, and then Wayne Bonaker gave everybody a little bit of a scare. His tag was a little more aggressive, but he ended up tagging the left guardrail, and everybody, dust goes flying in the air. Nobody knows what's going on, and then dust settles. Wayne's fine. He's out of the car, and all was good there. Some crazy passes as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It was the last pass of modified. Well, we were late in the class, but I ran Wayne, and my car was about a second out, broke, and I come rolling through the finish line. I looked over and seen Wayne gathering things up. I was like, "What is going on over there?" And so I got to see him trying to get it back under control. I think he broke the steering rack a little bit and knocked some things around. But luckily the truck went back in the trailer in one piece. So
yes, that's always what's important.
Yeah,
and the driver was safe.
Track was definitely there was a lot of either, like you said, either you got a hold of it, got a straight pass, or you're collecting yourself and backpedaling. So, but when you're making a lot of power and you got a track that's got hook like that, it has a tendency to make things unsettled a little bit. So,
yeah, and they also they ran their local classes as well at this event, and they had a little bit lower local turnout than usual just because they had another track schedule on top of them. And according to Tyler, one of the owners of DTs, they basically had a verbal agreement with them saying no, we don't schedule on top of each other. And then they end up doing it, which kind of ruffled some feathers. But then at the end of the day, I don't know if you knew this, Don as we were leaving, Dawn told me and my brother that when we got done racing, the other track was just starting the second round, and then there was like a 15-person brawl in the starting line at that other track.
Oh, that sucks. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, but I don't know, karma, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But no, let's we'll kind of get into these results here real quick. We'll start with Friday night's classes, and then we'll start with MRA classes, and then I'll take a second to find all the local classes, and we'll go from there. So we'll start with this Outlaw Pro Stock, which ran on Friday night. We'll just go for the top three here. First place, Rick George, his winning time was a 2.3089, which smashed the old record, really. And then Kelby Ladner, excuse me, running a 2:36 with a 7. He gets second place, and that actually beat the record as well by a whole 10th. And then Chris Bonacker getting third, running a 2:46, which is actually the current record 2:46 with 0. He runs a 2:46 with a 4 and gets third place in Outlaw Pro Stock. What did you think about those Outlaw Pro Stocks, Keith? They were screaming.
As we've mentioned before, this class is new, and it's just getting fun to watch. And they're starting to make these trucks work. You know, with all that horsepower sitting up front, drivers on the left-hand side. You know, and it's fun to watch. And they're just getting faster and faster, and they're figuring them out, and they're gonna give us modified guys a bad time, as they already are.
Yeah, and Rick George definitely knows how to drive, because he that's not the first time we'll mention his name. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah. And then we'll move on to Keith's class, actually, modified paddles, where first place was Justin George. Justin running a 2:18 with a 0, which is faster than the record. The record was a 2:19 with a 9. And then Jason Massey actually hopping in his awesome car, Outcast, runs a 2:18 with a 1. So that class actually came down to 1,000th of a second. And then Keith, our boy Keith here, getting third place, running a 2:25 with a 2 to get third place.
Those guys were flying without a question. They both picked him up on the second round, and Massey never counted him out, and Justin, he's been struggling a little bit this year, but obviously he's got a handle on the car now, so I'm glad for him to be running well.
I should say this, in Outlaw Pro Stock, your best reaction time went to Chris Moses with an 0.62. And then your best combined ET for Outlaw Pro Stock was Chris Bonacker with a 4.96. And then in modified paddles, which we're talking about, your best reaction time went to Daniel Carraher and 2.71 reaction time. And then your best combined ET went to Jason Massey with a 4.40 with a 9.1.
Daniel's always tough on the lights.
Yes.
He's got the lights figured out. He's got that going on.
For sure. And then the Kelly Odell Open Cuts first place winner, Tyler Coolidge, running a 2:13 with a 0. Kevin Harrison getting second, running a 2:13 with a 1. And then Billy Fling running a 2:14 with a 7. And that's a close, and I told people this, like, the MRA has its own excitement. And this is what I mean by it. Whenever you got the people in the top 3, and it basically comes down to 1,000th and then like just 100th of a second between second and third. And it's so crazy to see that.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt the cars are very competitive, spot on. I mean, it's anybody's game with this group, because one little mess up and you're out and somebody else is in. So shout out to Tyler. He's been a long time since he got a first place. So real happy for their team to get that first place, and they celebrated well for it. So
yeah, they celebrated by chopping his hair off. I remember that. That was one of the things, is that once he got a win, he was going to cut his hair. And Something I heard somebody say is that he actually looks like a decent human being now with the haircut.
Yeah.
But your combined ET in the Kelly Odell Open Cuts was Kevin Harris and Kevin Rennet, combined 2 passes of 4.312 to get your best combined ET. And then we'll move into Saturday's classes here, where we had the only elimination class in the MRA. We had Super Stock. As soon as I find it, here we go. And Super Stock. Matter of fact, shout out because I'm wearing the hoodie right now. Sam Limbazio getting first place. Sam with a, where's he at? There he is. Sam with a winning time of a 3:03 with a 0. But that, again, that doesn't matter because they're actually, this is elimination racing in this class. He defeated David French, who got second. David running a 3:20 with an 8 in the finals. David actually treed Sam, but Sam just had the motor to catch him there. And then Daniel Carraher actually took third, technically, I guess, because there's 3 left in the semis. But yeah, Daniel third, David French second, and Sam Limbazio getting first place in Super Stock. Super Stock's very exciting to watch as well.
Oh yeah, always super stock. I mean, to see these full body trucks carrying on and running down the track on cuts like they do is always a lot of fun. The crowd gets behind them and they can relate. The crowd can really relate to these full body vehicles.
Yes, and they're very fun to watch. And we posted a video of David French trying to take flight on his buy run pass, and it was that Jeep makes some awesome wheelies and some awesome videos. Great content from that Jeep. Pro Stock. It says Pro Stock Cuts, but it's just Pro Stock here. And I said we were going to mention this man's name again. Rick George. Rick George getting first place, 274 with a 3, defeating his brother Randy George, who got second, running a 276 with a 2. And then Greg Booker getting third, running a 280 with a 6. Your best reaction time was Rick George with an 068. And then your combined ET was Randy George, 539 with a 9.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you how the Georges have stepped up. I mean, Booker was the points leader last year, and then his truck runs very well. But Georges are getting their program together, dialing things in, and it shows.
Without a doubt, it is very impressive watching Pro Stock because the rules. I didn't know the rules difference until I went to Nebraska and Randy told me the square frame rails. You have to have that in Pro Stock, and then Outlaw Pro Stock, it's just kind of
like a stock square rectangular tubing. Used to be some stock, but they were trying to keep it to the rectangular tubing main frame chassis.
Okay. Well, yeah, the both classes still very exciting, but Pro Stock, those kind of numbers in Pro Stock is pretty insane when you think about it. The record was a 259 with a 9. What was that?
Single carbureted, no nitrous, laying times like that is incredible.
Yes, you are correct. Just running that fast is insane. So then we'll round out the MRA classes with the open paddles, Dan Richter open paddles. And this was one of the classes that actually had combined reaction time and ET. Is that right?
Yes, that was one. There was 2 classes we did that for points. The blower class was rolled over from Florida after having some light issues, so that's why we had the Pro Stock and open paddles as combined ET and RT for the win.
I forgot that was for Pro Stock too. I almost forgot that. So those times that we just listed for Pro Stock were combined ET and combined reaction times, just so everybody knows. The quickest ET in Pro Stock looks like it was Greg Booker with a 263. So it came down to that reaction time, most definitely, for Rick George to get the win in that class.
Gotcha.
And then I know and I've never seen a 1 second pass before in 200 foot until I went to this event. And there was 2 of them that happened in the Dan Richter open paddles. But like I said, this is combined ET and reaction time. And I'll search for those top ETs in a second, but we're going to list the results here. First place in the Dan Richter open paddles was Kevin Harrison with a combined time of 2.112 seconds. And the second place was Billy Fling with a 2.129. And then Tyler Coolidge getting third place with a 2.166. So, and then your best your best ET from the open paddles was Jim Ingram. Jim ran a 196 with a 6. And he actually showed me the time slip from that pass. He had a 0.98 60 foot, which is stupid fast.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And then we had, I know somebody else ran a 1 second pass, and it's kind of hard to find it. Oh, I found it. Kevin Harrison ran a 198 with a 2.
Correct.
And I know Tyler Coolidge actually ran his quickest pass ever in 200 foot, 2.00 with a 9. So shout out to Tyler.
Right.
Billy Fling, what was his quickest pass? Because that car is just freaking awesome to watch. 202 was his quick. Oh, and then he scratched. It looked like he had some breakage, but then his one pass is good enough to win him second place. So look at that. Keith, last time we talked about these guys, you said they're crazy. What makes them crazy?
I mean, for one to be doing 120 miles an hour, probably in about 200 feet, and coning them back down. I mean, it's just another level. To strap on 3 to 3,500 horsepower and get it to hook up in 200 feet and run under 2 seconds, 120 plus miles an hour. That's a lot going on.
That is a lot going on. Kevin Harrison, combined ET of a 402 with a 0. And then your best reaction time was Kevin Harrison also with an 074. And then we'll go on to the final MRA class from this event, the modified cuts, which is Keith's class here. And then your first place winner was Rick George. He ran a 232 with a 0, which the record was a 237 with a 1. So he had a chance to back it up, but then his backup pass didn't go the way he planned. He had to get out of it. And then Robert Gallagher getting second place runs a 236 with an 8. And then Chris Bonaker getting third runs a 242 with a 5. And then your combined ET went to Rick George. And then your best reaction time went to Chris Moses once again with an 047. So modified cuts. That was a big class actually. 15 trucks in that class.
15 trucks in the class. Very nice class. Yep.
So this modified cuts class, 15 trucks in it. And then when you raced in it, Keith, it makes it more challenging with modified cuts because you get the Outlaw Pro Stock trucks in it too. So that's just really interesting, actually.
Well, like I say, we've been watching these Outlaw trucks get faster and faster. Excuse me. These Outlaw guys are getting faster and faster, jumping up in our cut tire class. They've already got their tires figured out for the track, so they've got a little jump on us, which is good for them. But I mean, they got a jump on us because they ran cuts Friday night. We were on scoops, so now we got to hurry up, figure out the cuts in our first pass on Saturday night. So it helps them a little bit, but not to take away from them. As you see the times, these guys are getting their trucks figured out and they're flying.
So where are you standing at here in points, Keith? It looks like you're fourth. Looks like you're fourth in modified cuts, and then you're third in modified paddles.
Correct. I think so. Yeah, we got one more race trying to pick it up now. I was hoping to do better this past weekend and withstand that, and then because everybody will have to drop one race, so it's a little deceiving on where the points are right now. I missed Nebraska, so that was my drop race, and if you go across the board there, everybody's going to take their worst race and drop. So things will even out a little bit closer here. But we definitely got to pick our game up here and come out shooting here at the last race at the finals, and hopefully finish better than fourth place in the points.
I'm trying to. Sorry, I didn't mean for the pause. I was just looking for this local class stuff. They ran their local classes as well at this event, and we'll just start. We'll just start right here. Your 5-0 index winner was Alex Calder. And then your 435 and 460 index winner was Ethan Hyde. Your 4-0 index winner was Bryant Campbell, driving Dirty White Boy. And then I know there was one more. Apologies about the pause. Here it is. Your Pro ET winner, which is basically just an open bracket race. Well, actually, it's not open bracket. If you ran you had to run between a 435 and a 5-something to run in this race. But your Pro ET winner was Austin Speck. And that was the DTs Dirt Drags local class results. And Keith, where are you guys heading for this MRA finale?
To down Missouri to the Booker's property. You caught me off guard.
Oh, my bad. Upper Merrimack.
Yes, the Upper Merrimack Dirt Drags. Thank you. The Bookers have been putting on the race. We do 2 a year there. They keep investing money in the property. It's getting nicer and nicer, and hope everybody comes out and enjoys it. I mean, it's out there out in no man's land, but it's a beautiful property when you get there. There's a nice creek in the back if you got to cool off, and lots of open land to move around and park. So there'll be some good eating going on, and good festivities and lots of good racing to wrap up the year.
Well, that's awesome. And I will not be there. I have prior commitments. I had a ton of people asking if I was going to be there in Mississippi, but I won't be. But our boy Caleb will be making the trip out from California to provide great coverage from the MRA finale race. And we will be looking forward from the results from that, because not only is there is money to be had at the event if you win, but points championships are on the line as well. And man, Keith, I'm excited for you guys. I can't wait to see what happens. And I just want to say thank you for joining us today on Paddle Talk. Is there anything that you want to plug one more time about the MRA coming up?
No, just come out and support the race, whether you're racing or spectating. Come on, let's make a successful final for the year.
Absolutely. Well, hey, thank you, Keith. We may pull you back on just to talk about the MRA before the finale race, if that's okay. But other than that, thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you being around.
Hey everyone, this week's podcast sponsored by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt is ready to put their over 30 years worth of off-road experience to work for you. From turnkey builds to rolling chassis to an awesome selection of parts, the Racing in the Dirt staff has got you covered. Brake kits, aluminum hub kits, enclosed chain drives and kits, drive shaft loops, and even DIY wheelie bar kits, all available. So let Scott, Shane, and the crew at Racing in the Dirt get you the competitive edge you need. Give them a call at area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. Or find them on Facebook or even racinginthedirt.com. That's racinginthedirt.com and the UPS Daily. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast. Find us on Spotify and on YouTube. Got a great podcast for this week. Producer Billy, not only behind the mic, but behind the camera. We've got Damian Bowers all the way from Indiana and John Sorg out of Michigan joining us. And special guest this week is Doug Venlet, driver of the Mean One, top alcohol dragster, newly setting the Gravelrama ET record this past weekend. Guys, chime in just for a second, say hi, and let's get things going here.
Hey, Doug, thanks for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So, Doug, for those people out there that might not know you, maybe not as well as we do, Give us the 10,000-foot overview. How did you end up in that car? I mean, where does your sand drag racing journey kind of start for us?
Okay. Back in the 90s, I went to the track a few times back when Dan Howard was up there, and a friend of mine, Tyler Marvin, used to go just watch. Always wanted to do it. Too poor to do it. Young family, that type of thing. Got into helping Bailey out a little bit, hauling his stuff out to the AV. So my first real actual sand experience was at the AV. I went out there, I think 2 or 3 years with him, hauling the Blue Thunder dragster out there. Trucking is my background, so he's like, "Hey, you want to go out here? I'll take care of you and just help me out with the car." So I got some experience with some fast stuff back then. And fast forward to 2020, COVID. Matt Willis started working at the track up here, and I watched him at Gravelrama. I was homesick with COVID, and literally sitting there on a couch going, "Man, I've got to get my feet into something like this someday." And then within a few months, I found a car out in Vegas and drove out there and picked up the Grinch. That was the first car I had.
Now, that's the former David Stidham car, correct? For
Correct.
those that are watching. Yep.
295 car out there. So.
Yep.
So for my very first car, I bought a 295 car. He gave it to me on what he called the grocery getter tune-up, and I brought it here, and I think it ran like a 360 or something like that. And within a few hours, I was on the phone. I'm like, what pulleys did you say would make it go with 295? So played around with it for a few weekends and really enjoyed it that year. And then 2021 and 2022. And Pat Goodale is a very good friend of mine. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have this car I have today. But we made a few phone calls. I've been building a no prep 6.0 certified Camaro for about 3.5 years now. It was supposed to be a 2-month project. I don't know if you ever heard of chassis jail.
Yes.
So in that process, I've been trying to buy a motor, and Pat had this car that was in his barn, and I wanted it, and I thought I was just buying it for the motor. And he said, "Well, you got to take the whole car if you want it." So he made me a heck of a deal. And like I said, if it wasn't for his grace and kindness and all the things he did to help me get it, I wouldn't have it even running on the track. But as soon as I got it, I'm like, I can't take this car apart. It's got to go. It's got to live again and go down the track. And last year, Travis Oakes with 616 Motorsports went through the motor, and we put it on the track. Matt Willis helped me figure. Him and I were like, that we're way over our head, right? And I'm just like, yeah, probably. I think we can do it though. And he was such a big help with understanding. He had a blower truck at the time and stuff. So, but ran it last year, and fast forward to now, he gave me enough knowledge and confidence to figure some things out on my own, and I put a crew of people together, and we went racing last weekend.
I love how you just nonchalantly, we were racing this weekend. Oh, by the way, we just came 280 off the trailer and just proceeded to get quicker than, that.
It was like a dream come true. I can tell you that. That will fuel my racing addiction for many years to come.
That's awesome, man. I'm not going to lie. We all car, and anybody that has been around West Michigan for a little while knows that car and knows that car is very fast and everything else. So, I'll be honest, I wasn't terribly surprised to see it go that quick. I was surprised to see it go that quick down there, because that track is not exactly known for big mile an hour and low ETs.
Right. That's what I had heard too. I kept staring. I went there in the spring. I don't know if you were there or not, but I went there for the spring outlaw race with my other car, because this wasn't together yet. And I was staring up at the tower at Rob's banner of the track record. And I was like, man, I'd love to have a banner like that someday. Because he had the 272 record for 15 years, I believe it was. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And when we went back, I was like, probably not going to happen this year, but we're going to do the best we can to just go out there and go some rounds, because haven't had the best luck with staging the car and keeping it from picking the front end up and red lighting, that kind of stuff. So, but Cody Trice was a huge impact. Him and I talked a few months ago, and he just kept giving me, building me up. He's like, you just got to go out there and do the same thing every single time. You'll be surprised what you can do down there if you come. He's one. Him and Blake Cole are the reasons I went down there. Otherwise, I probably never would have made the trip. But
Sure. John, you were part of this crew for that weekend. What was your perspective on it?
Man, what a riot. I mean, how much cooler could it be to go out there? We had one little fumble at the beginning, and then everything just fell into place. And it, like Doug said, it was just as good as you could imagine it could get.
John
And
came
it's
out
great
there.
when those kind of weekends happen, right?
What's that, Isaac?
It's great when weekends happen like that. Everything just seems to fall into place time and time and time. And it seems like you can't pull a wrong move almost.
It was going, almost flawlessly. But there was a few issues. Doug had the crew working in the back pretty hard. We had some issues with the motor sliding forward. So we, how many times do you have to strap that back?
I think we did it 3 times in that one night. So
Yeah, in between rounds, trying to do that when they're calling you up to staging and yeah, I mean, but everybody clicked and everybody did an awesome job. And I mean, I couldn't have worked with a better crew.
That's awesome. Damien, all right, so you're a longtime gravel competitor. I mean, you've grown up down there. What'd you think? I mean, seriously, some guy comes in that probably isn't super well known and proceeds to start just laying the hammer to everything down there.
Well, for a lot of the people that were down there that never went to Michigan, never seen real top alcohol dragsters, especially guys that came from far out of town, a lot of them were really surprised that anything could go that fast down there. Me, having seen that car for years, seeing all the top alcohol cars I've seen, honestly, I was surprised they didn't end up in the 250s on. And my TV just started making noise, but I really was surprised they didn't end up in the 250s by the end of the weekend. They just about could have entered the Bob Block Eliminator with a 260 if they had enough turnaround time.
Right.
But no, it was
man, yeah.
great to see because not only did he set the track record, he set the fastest. 1 second. Just. It's got to bug me.
God damn it, Damien.
There we go. Sorry about that.
All right, Damien, before you start talking, do the 3, 2, 1 thing, okay?
Okay, give me a second
Okay.
here.
There you go.
Because I've got the backlight here. 3,
There you
2, 1. But the biggest thing is he also has the fastest 2-wheel drive time at Gravelrama, period, which is a record that is set back when Double XA, back when they first separated and allowed 2-wheel drive cars into the class. Gentleman out of Missouri, I'm gonna have to dig his name up again. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Came with a twin turbo 302 small block Chevy and went 280s in the 1990s. Guy who eventually ended up cartwheeling the car right after he had sold it at Bonne Terre, Missouri.
Good grief.
Crazy to think the record has stood that long for that event. No one had been faster than the 280s range with a 2-wheel drive car at Gravelrama.
Unbelievable. That is crazy. Doug, it's a phenomenal accomplishment. I mean, I gotta say, I've seen a lot of alcohol cars. That car looked like it was on a rail all weekend. All right. But Doug, I gotta ask you about the final. So you're rolling up to the final, all right? And let's face it, you're somewhat limited experience-wise, and everything else. Kathy Ellington, who is, let's face it, she's one of the fastest women in our sport, and she's also one of the better levers in our sport. Any nervousness at all, and in the back of your head, are you at all thinking, don't screw this up, because if she puts me on the trailer, I'm never living this down.
Well, you've been to enough of our Michigan events to know how many times I've screwed it up next to her. So yeah, that was in my mind all weekend because I was the only one that could have screwed that up for my crew. Like I was like everybody else was on point. John acted like he's like, yeah, I can help you this weekend. I used to help them. That guy came in there like he's run a top alcohol car all the time. Like he was just boom, put me in the beams. He did everything right. So thanks again for that, John. But
You're welcome.
But yeah, I was going up there and I'm like, I don't care if I get teased for sleeping. I am not leaving before that. But yeah, she's a tough competitor, and what great people that whole family is. They're such a wonderful group of people to hang around with too.
And I got to tell you, you two have combined for probably one of the more epic pictures I've ever seen from gravel. Both those cars leaving, both of them front ends hiked up. I mean, you could tell they're both getting after it right there. And that was just awesome to see. We're just really, really impressed, and well done on the weekend, man. Who you want to shout out to? Who you got to, getting you to this point? So,
I mean, if you don't mind, I'd love to. I'd like to thank God for
have at it, dude.
Thank God for giving us a free country to do things we love like this, man. I mean, there's places that can't do what we get to do, and I'm happy about that. But Pat Goodale, Rick Ensing has been a huge pusher to me to get better at everything. You've seen his car, so Matt Willis, Travis from 616. I got Perfit, that's a sponsor. Hard Topics. My mom and dad, who've never gone to a baseball game in my life or anything I've ever done, or let alone be into sports. My mom hands me money this year. She goes, "We want to support your addiction." So it was cool. My sister and brother-in-law own Hard Topics, Village Motorsports. That they're not an official sponsor, but I told Pat they're staying on the car because of all the things he's done for me. Every time I turn around, I'm like, "Do you have?" "Oh yeah, stop over and get it." That kind of thing. But and John, my girlfriend Esther, and Joe and Melanie, and Chum. Chum. That dude is a pit crew chief in the making, man.
Yes.
Those guys rocked it out, and it just my kids, and I got 3 grandkids now. They're pretty young, but they're willing to raise their families around a racetrack to be with Papa, and I love that. That's what makes it fun. You guys have probably seen some videos of my grandson riding in the race car with me when we tow up a couple of weeks ago. But just it's been amazing for all that, and like the Traces, the Ellingtons, the Coles, all of them just coming in and acting like I've been their friends for 40 years.
That's awesome, man. I gotta say, it is awesome having you on board. We just basically met pretty much last summer a little bit,
Yeah.
and got to know you, not nearly as well as obviously John has or anything, but I gotta say, you are great to have at the racetrack. You always seem to have a smile on your face, regardless of how things are going. And and even coming on here, man, we appreciate it, and congratulations. I mean, really, you guys worked hard at it, and really happy for you to find some success with that thing. And hopefully this isn't the end. Hopefully this is, maybe Billy, you've been around this sport a long time as well. Could we see a resurgence in top alcohol cars, maybe with, Doug hitting some numbers here?
It's very unlikely just because the way the class has turned out. I mean, the West Coast has a strong following for it still. And by strong, I mean, like they've had 4 cars in it, I think, last September. So, I mean, Doug's one of the few here in even the East part of the country where, I mean, if John Moreland still races, he's got one. I know Randy Kimbley's not scared to throw his in there. And, I mean, we may have 2 more in Missouri. I mean, who knows? I mean, if the right place at the right time calls for it, the top alcohol class could definitely be thriving again on the Midwest, eastern part of the country. But right now, I mean, like Doug kind of just set the tone for this year on our side of the country, even down in the Missouri, Oklahoma area where we haven't seen a lot of the 260 passes in a while. And if Randy Kimbley hears this, he'll probably make me eat my words for saying that. But yeah, I mean, to answer the question, hopefully, but it's probably unlikely. But I would love to see this. I would love to see that class come back, though. I really would. It's hard to do that now, just with the popularity of Top Eliminator, also because Top Eliminator has had this little surge the last 4 or 5 years of it kind of improving. So it's hard to tell, really. But I'm all for Top Alcohol. I mean, shameless plug: Thunder Valley Sand Drag, September 27th, 28th. We're running Top Alcohol. It's a $500 entry fee, and it's 100% payback.
All right. Well, hey, I think that pretty much. Yeah.
Something Damian said about the 250. We were really thinking we might end up there, but we were running in, I think, John, you can tell me here, 60, 65 degree weather on Thursday night. That sound right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were running 90 to 95 degree weather on Saturday. We felt pretty accomplished that we still had a bracket car on both days with the weather change.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
We would have loved to have had a 250, and I think I know the car. We don't even have that thing on kill right now. It's on moderately high boost, but it's not topped out, and we had everything kind of tamed back to try to keep that front end from climbing so high. And we thought for sure if it got a little cooler out, we would have been touching the 50s, but we're just like, man,
It just never got late enough, and
yeah.
It was there. I have to agree with Damian, but I just don't think it was late enough, and we didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
Not on Thursday night.
Sure. That'd be exciting, man. As far as I know, that'd be the first 250 shoot east of Nevada. Pretty much.
Right? Wow.
I mean, that's a smoking pass. So, hey, looking forward to it though, and who knows? Gravelrama has a date change or something for next summer. Maybe it's in a little bitter air. Maybe we see some of these numbers we've been talking about. But all right, well, hey, Doug, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We'll have you on again. Maybe we'll talk some more Top Alcohol stuff. Oh, and one thing I wanted to ask you though. So we brought up the Grinch and everything else. What's the status of that thing?
I think we'll probably have it back out yet this year. We bent the chassis down in Gravelrama down in Cleves for the opening outlaw race. And the next race after that, the transmission, I found the transmission was burned up in it. So that's that's getting rebuilt, but there's no sense putting it back together until we can get the tube straightened out. So that's in the process now. But I love that car because it's not as handy as John's dragster, but that's my daily driver. So I'm looking forward to getting that back up. I'd like to see that be my 295 car, and then the mean one can just be Top Alcohol at some point. So
Sure. Awesome. Well, hey man, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll have you on again. We talk some more drag racing and stuff, and great to see you. And maybe we'll see you next weekend at the Pro Truck Race.
I will be there.
Sweet.
Thank you for having me on. I love hanging out with you guys and love the show. So
hey everyone, this week's podcast sponsored by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt is ready to put their over 30 years worth of off-road experience to work for you. From turnkey builds to rolling chassis to an awesome selection of parts, the Racing in the Dirt staff has got you covered. Brake kits, aluminum hub kits, enclosed chain drives and kits, dry shaft loops, and even DIY wheelie bar kits, all available. So let Scott, Shane, and the crew at Racing in the Dirt get you the competitive edge you need. Give them a call at area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. Or find them on Facebook or even racinginthedirt.com. That's racinginthedirt.com and the UPS Daily. All right, so had a great interview there with Doug Venlet of the Mean One fame. Moving right into, piggybacking off of that, into our Gravelrama results and discussion. Damian Bowers, you are kind of the point man on this thing. Let's talk some Gravelrama. So starting off Thursday night already, what did we have going on down there, and what did we see down there that impressed you Thursday already, before we even get into Friday or anything else?
Well, Thursday we had mostly the test and tune, and then going into the flat drag or into the open bracket. Testington, you saw a lot of trucks really trying to figure out. We were trying to figure ours out, making sure everything was going to work properly, which it did Thursday night. We'll get to that when we get to Friday. But Dan Sizemore, they laid down a 356 in XC trim with their nitrous combination on that old Dodge Ray Evernham motor with damn near 900 pounds hanging off the car.
Good gosh. For
Looked
those,
like a pulling tractor.
yeah. For those folks that may be watching, maybe West Coast guys or something like that, gravel is all weight, cubic inch,
Power adders, engine modifications.
Exactly. So when Damien talks about, and we talk about hanging weight off, literally you'll see barbell weights, you'll see tractor suitcase weights. I mean, you name it, getting weight on these cars for them to make weight for the class. So
totally. Then going into the open bracket, Kyle Harney, first time he's ran all year, I believe. I can't remember if he ran at the opening race of the Outlaw Series, but in the old hay shaker, one of the oldest cars on the property, has a history in Michigan at the Dunes, has a history down here. It has lived a life, and it's still living it and going strong.
past Pro Truck Nationals champion Kyle Harney in the hay shaker as well.
Oh, totally. Spraying nitrous for the most part of the night, and then as they got later in the rounds, they couldn't keep the bottle warming up, so he just made a hot switch, didn't even make a pass on motor, just guessed on the dial-in and just kept going rounds.
How many cars approximately in that open bracket class?
I want to say around 70 or so. I don't know for sure. I missed the driver's meeting as I was getting stuff ready to do pictures, live streams, and such, because with ours, the way it was set up, it wasn't going to be feasible to really run it in the bracket race and go back to running it on kill next night.
Sure. Well, congrats out to Kyle Harney then. Thursday night win in the open bracket down at Gravel. And Friday we get to the hill drags.
Hill drags start off just like normal. Couple of the slower classes. C class. I honestly don't know who won because, again, I was getting my car ready and then getting ready to try and get some pictures, live streams. Right as soon as I go to start the live stream, the excitement gets going. Jeremy Simpson in the big one goes over down into the back campground, or in the lower campground. Second car that I know that's done that. Almost in the exact same spot, just didn't go down quite as far. The big one, it's a turbocharged EcoBoost Ford 4-cylinder dragster. And it's a wicked little machine. It flies for what it is. It's the same motor you'd see in a Fiesta or a Focus.
Well, I had to race him on Friday night or whenever, Thursday night, and he was dialed at 360, 365, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that thing moves really good.
Wow, that's impressive. So that and a lot of this live feed stuff, just so folks know, if you want to scroll back on the WSDN page, is available yet, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, he went for a wild ride. He's fine, a little shook up, but that was about it. Most of the damage to the car, as you'd expect, going down through the woods. It's going to happen. But going on to the rest of the class, that was the only class I ended up live streaming, as we ended up tearing this thing apart. But final came down to Austin Bullock and Dan Sizemore. First round, they both ran. Austin ran 2.004. Otis ran 2.04. Second round, they both ran a 197. Otis with a 3, Austin with a 4. And then in the finals, Austin grabbed the brake just in time, because this is a common thing on hill drags to lose with your front end in the air, because you'll trip with the back tires. Austin grabbed the brake just in time, won with a 195 to a 196 in the final on the hill drags. Oh. And keep in mind, they're doing this 2 seconds, 100 foot side by side up a hill, and then having to get stopped at the top.
And getting airborne is fairly easy on that hill as well.
Oh, totally. Especially when you're on kill trying to beat the guy next to you. But for the most part, it was largely uneventful. After the incident, there was no real crazy carnage other than my own. I ended up drawing Ryan Wilson first round in A class, the class I was running in. So we kind of put it on kill, and wire for the trans brake interrupt came off. So I was standing on the brake with nitrous on the trans brake, a 330 shot, and then when the 100 shot came in, the magic smoke left.
Yes. Heck of a picture. Not good for the ego or the round win.
No, the cylinder had his torch. We were done for the weekend there.
Yeah. Ouch.
But A class
Excuse me.
ended up going to Rodney Upchurch. I'll have to get the list for all of the winners. I don't know them all off the top of my head. As always, Gravelrama's got so many classes, it's so hectic to keep track of.
Absolutely. No, that's true. I am amazed every year when I see the picture of the ladies organizing the classes, with the envelopes in the in the organizer bins, and stuff. And it just amazes me the amount of cars, how they keep it straight and everything else. So great shout out to the IOK or whatever crew is actually managing things, because that is no small undertaking, and congratulations to them, because it seemed like it went off pretty smooth this year, unless somebody else speaks up and says different.
Oh, definitely.
All right, so moving on. So that's Friday night. We're on to Saturday. Saturday on the flat drags. Besides Doug deciding he's going to semi-rotate the earth, what else are we looking at on Saturday?
On Saturday, lots of cars setting personal best times. Track was actually really, for the air not being there, the track surface was there. In my class that I would have been in, Rusty Searle setting a best time with the Indian Uprising, a blown Pontiac 4-cylinder, went 422 in a stock frame rail, stock wheelbase Jeep. In that class, you also had Ryan Wilson running personal best of a 398 in the finals. But Rodney Upchurch, who also got best engineered on the weekend. Brian Harrison did an amazing job on that truck. It's one of the last trucks Brian finished. And it's got some wild 400-inch small block in it. And Rodney, at a 3,300-pound minimum weight, went 390 on a buy run in the class.
Yeesh. Flying.
Every round, he ran a 390 pass. Started with a 399, went 390, and then in the finals, ran a 398 against Ryan Wilson to end up getting that victory there. XB class, you had Blake Cole setting a new personal best for the track there for their altered with a 358 cubic inch engine. This is the same engine that they set the B altered record with a few years ago at Brookville. Went 330 with a 9 and did it 2 runs in a row.
Wow. That is flying. And when they were in Michigan, they were bracket racing that car, and
that was a different motor, but the motor they've got in it right now is originally built by Patterson Racing Engines. It was Dan Weiss's backup motor years ago, if that tells you anything about what that thing's capable of. XC class, one of the more highly contended classes, because you had, going into the weekend, there was 4 cars that were going to be running 3.6s. Unfortunately, the big one wrecked on the hill. Friday, on Thursday night, Kerr blew his 6-liter up and they put a 4.8 in it. Unfortunately, torque converter a little too tight, not able to get up on the boost and be a contender in the class. So it came down to Cody Trice with their 565 big block on nitrous at 3,500 pounds running 360s, and Austin Bullock with their basically stock 4.8 with an intake carb and a very small camshaft, or not carb, but intake fuel injection, small camshaft, and a hell of a turbo. And they went in a class that's for years been a high 350, low 360 class, went a John Brown with the 6-pack, always a contender in C and D class. That thing was flying, running 450s, 460s all weekend long. B class had a really contentious final. You had Michael Robbins driving the family Silver Bullet with their class motor, a 287 or 292, somewhere in there, small block Chevrolet, against Missouri's Andy James with his blue step side. And they both went at it. Michael Robbins outrunning the Blues step side by 200s, a 38 to a 40 to eke out the win in the finals there.
That is flying. I saw that blue step side on the live stream, and I was amazed at how fast that truck was. My word.
Oh, yeah, that thing. And he's doing it with a lot of weight on it because that's a 400-inch plus small block.
Wow.
So he's got a lot more weight to carry than Michael does.
Jeepers.
My
goodness.
C class, Melissa Robbins taking the win in the same Silver Bullet there. And then you go on to the Bob Black, where they had every winner had the option to enter. Some don't. Obviously, Doug didn't. He had the option to enter it with the 260 bracket car, but I don't think turnaround times are going to be in 10 minutes, are they, Doug?
No, sir. No, sir. We did
You'd
it
have
in
to go get the
25.
big pull. You'd have to go get the big pulley and make it a 3.0 car.
Yeah.
But that ended up coming down to Ron Kersey, who was the winner in XD class with a car running 350s in a class that, other than Jim Rodas, no car has been faster than a 360 in the class. And Jim Rodas, when he did it, he was running 340s, melting cylinder heads doing it. And that little Volkswagen, it was running 350s, 360s. It came down to Ron Kersey, Blake Cole for the Bob Black Eliminator, and Blake Cole got the win there.
All right. So on to Sunday. I noticed also Doug decided to not participate in the hill climb on Sunday as well. I think we're going to have to work on that a little bit.
He didn't want to become the new WLW tower down here.
I had so many people ask me if I was entering that in the hill climb. I'm like, I don't think I could even get in the approach area with that.
You'll have to get the Bronco to do that, or the Grinch next year.
Yeah, I think we talked about having the Grinch up to do a little bit of the hill racing, the either the side by side. I don't know if I'm quite man enough to go up that big hill yet, but
oh yeah.
You talked about turnaround times. We got called out by Dave Trice at one point because everybody was gelling so good when we were getting down to all the rounds we were making that we got done, and I took all my people up for ice cream, and we're up there at the ice cream booth, and Dave Trice was looking, he's like, how in the heck do you guys have time for ice cream? We were literally all up there on our pit vehicles getting ice cream, weren't we, John?
Yes, we were. It was good ice cream too.
Well, I mean, you guys ain't got nitrous bottles to warm up, so
That's true. That's true.
All right, so Damien, take us through some of the big stuff that happened on Sunday then on the big hill.
On the big hill, first pass out, you had Ryan Wilson not able to get up the top of it. I think tried to get it moving, got it under the converter, and it tried to wheel stand on him and just lost all momentum. Then you went on to the first round of XA. Larry Monig and Corey Gum in the old green and orange Jeep. They used to have that blown small block Chevy in. Got a little nitrous injected small block in it now. I think we're on a 355 cubic inch motor. First pass, launches it over the top, bends a wheel, not badly enough to where they couldn't run it, but he was sore. He was going to drop until they told him out on the first run he had the faster time. So all he had to do was make it over the top to win. Unfortunately, he did make it over the top, but he took out the pylons at the top of the hill, disqualifying him.
Oh.
So that gave the win over to the Monigs. As you went through the classes, you had a lot of fun rides. XC class Bullock Austin with the change of planes car, sweeping every class he could enter with that car. I mean, he could have entered the obstacle course Monday, but I don't think that would have been a too good of idea.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's great things. All right, so now I gave Dave Applegate a hard time, and Dave's not here earlier this year because I said he had not had the full Cleves experience without some skillet racing. Now, there was some skillet racing Sunday night. I saw some pretty good video. True or not true, for anybody that might know, the pot was up to $1,000.
I can
True.
attest to that.
Matt Wilson showed me the wad of cash. It is true.
Yeah.
Doug probably sponsored part of it.
I sponsored a very small part of it. I'll give you that one.
I don't know who won it, but I know Chris Keller, Kellen Trainer, and a few others. One of the girls that was involved with the mega trucks that were there.
I think that was his daughter, maybe, or something.
Something
All right,
like that.
hey.
She had full Hans device.
She did.
Oh, all right. So before this gets way too far off the rails here, Billy, do we have any WSDN shirts?
No.
Billy, huh?
No.
We don't?
No. We're all out.
Currently out of stock.
Are we out of stock?
Yes.
All right. Here's my pitch. And
We'll get
I will,
more, though.
if somebody comes forward and has a legit claim that they are the winner of the skillet and can provide, I will provide a Pro Truck Nationals t-shirt in their size to them. But this has to be verified. I mean, you can't just come forward and say, I won it. We need like multi-level authentication on this deal. So
Somebody's got to have pictures.
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And when we get
Dave
more
Price was helping
shirts,
with
we'll get
timing.
you a WSDN shirt.
Absolutely. No, I agree. So,
Dave Trice was helping with timing and scoring, so I think we might be able to find out from him.
oh, Dave is a very good record keeper. So, all right. I feel like we're headed in a direction here.
Dave
I
Trice,
feel like
reach
we
out,
may-
please.
What's that?
I said, Dave Trice, reach out and inform us, please.
Yes, absolutely. And, just throwing this out there, this may be a new WSDN record category. I'm not, fully endorsing it yet, but we may have to make an addition to the book.
Let's talk to Caleb and we'll work on that.
Oh, God.
Hey, Isaac,
What's that, Doug?
there was talk of and requested of this happening in Michigan next year when everyone's up.
Oh boy.
Hmm.
That
There was a lot
No.
of questions to Chum and I if we thought we could make it happen, and I just kind of diverted everybody to Chum, and he was doing this all weekend. So
Was that with a beer in his hand too, or?
sometimes too, but yeah. But they're all about it. It was
all right, so we don't want to leave anybody out. Damien, do you have any results from Monday from the obstacle course? Because I'll be honest, that is somewhat almost an afterthought with gravel, but there's a lot of guys that go there and want to do well there too.
Oh, totally. Like the Ruthers clan, they bring all of their Jeeps, and all but 2 vehicles they bring are designed for that. And even then, they run the Bronco with the turbo mod motor on the obstacle course.
Good night.
But I don't know who won that. You had Sean Ford there, always perennial contender with that. He had a tough truck there, as well as his Leica Nut, which is just a little Ford V6, but it has suspension. It's low and wide, so that thing corners and jumps like no other. And he's always a contender for fast time. The Simpsons with the big one dragster, they have a long travel 2-wheel drive buggy that they'll run in the obstacle course with the same engine combination that's in the dragster.
Wild. Just wild. Well, it sounds
Yeah.
like a good time. It sounds like it was hot like it normally is. Bring us up to date. Any more talk of a date change?
I have not heard any recently. I will let you guys know as I find out. Obviously the next club meeting will be and if for anyone listening to this in southeastern Ohio or southeastern Indiana, southwestern Ohio, northern Kentucky, first Wednesday of every month is an IOK meeting if you're looking to join. It's a fairly long process. It's about a year process to be officially in as a member, but you can come to the meetings. You have to come to the meetings to become a member. As I find out on what the date change is, as soon as it's official, I will let people know.
And you're going to find out if I can come and hang out again.
If I can find the right person to ask.
There you go, buddy.
I'm pretty sure you're fine to come. Make it down to Last Blast.
I'm just going to, all right, we can talk about that some other time. But anyway, all right. So that is going to wrap up our Gravelrama coverage. Anything, Damien, you want to add in before we kind of wrap this, put a bow on this segment?
Just thank you to everyone that came out. It was a great time. I would love to see this event back to where it once was. It's so hard to get the fans, the crowd, the cars to come back. I would love to see more cars come back. But at the same time, we're trying our best to keep it heads up class racing, because that's the heart and soul of this event. It's what keeps it unique.
Very true. One of the true last purely heads up events, sand drag racing wise, literally in the country. So
yeah, outside of Pennsylvania, this is really what's left of it. There's a few places, there's a few pockets of it here and there, but it's mostly involved around 200-foot mud race.
That is correct. So, all right. Well, hey, thanks, Damien, for being on the grounds. And yeah, that wraps up our Gravelrama coverage for 2024.
Hey everyone, this week's podcast sponsored by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt is ready to put their over 30 years worth of off-road experience to work for you. From turnkey builds to rolling chassis to an awesome selection of parts, the Racing in the Dirt staff has got you covered. Brake kits, aluminum hub kits, enclosed chain drives and kits, drive shaft loops, and even DIY wheelie bar kits, all available. So let Scott, Shane, and the crew at Racing in the Dirt get you the competitive edge you need. Give them a call at area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. Or find them on Facebook or even racinginthedirt.com. That's racinginthedirt.com and the UPS Daily.
Hey everyone, welcome back to our next segment of the Paddle Talk podcast. We're talking all things Silverback Off-Road Raceway and Pro Truck Nationals coming up the weekend next. Myself, John Sorg, and producer engineer Billy Teeters on board for this discussion. So we'll start with Johnny. Johnny, what's going on at Silverback this weekend?
Well, it looks like we have the party in the jungle. So Friday is Test and Tune from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. and then open karaoke from 9 p.m. to 11 with host, top alcohol and top eliminator driver, Doug Venlet.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Okay. I feel like Doug was not completely truthful with us when he was on in our earlier segment and did not mention that. I did not know he was a karaoke master.
Yeah.
Were you aware of this fact?
No.
No,
I was not. He just keeps amazing us, don't he?
Doug is a man of many hidden talents, apparently.
No kidding. I guess so. Trucker, excavator, man, he's got y'all covered. He does signs, vinyl signs, track signs at the track he does. So we can go on and on.
So
Doug's the man.
Doug possibly is available for weddings, bar mitzvahs, that sort of thing. If you're interested, hit one of us up. We can get you some contact info. All right.
We'll get you in touch with Doug.
That's right. So once Doug is done DJing on Friday night, then what are we up to for the rest of the weekend?
For the rest of the weekend, it looks like Saturday juniors starting at noon with, Pee-wees and juniors, and then racing starts right after that for them. And then, let's see, they have Pro 1 bracket, a Pro Bracket 2, an Open bracket, a Sportsman bracket, a Pro Quick 16, and a Sportsman Quick 16.
Now,
And
just to rehash as
there's-
well, this is a non-points race for Silverback, correct?
This is non-points. This is
Okay,
a
all right.
special add-on event.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Sounds like a good time, though.
I'll be there, so we'll find out.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot a minute. Pick me your junior racer pick to click this weekend. Who's your guy or girl that you're like, you know what? I see them going to a final.
You know, I'm gonna go Cam Roth.
Dude, what are you doing, man? I seriously
He's got genes. He's got some background. I think he's got a chance.
I feel like our man, though, has an equal shot of running his quad up onto the berm at the end of the track as much as he does of taking the win.
He's been known to do some epic shit. He's always entertaining, that's for sure.
Stephanie Roth, we're just going to apologize right now. But your kid is, well, he is who he is. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's just, you better get used to it. You're a boy mom. It just comes with the territory.
No doubt.
All right. So that's this weekend, which is Labor Day weekend. So you've got all the weekend to rest up, you know, Saturday, Sunday, don't have to be back to work on Tuesday. And then next week, Friday, that is September 6th, we're kicking off Pro Truck Nationals Championship weekend. Johnny, what time are you rolling into town? Or are you going up Thursday already?
I am going to have to roll in on Friday afternoon. So I know I'm going to be cutting it a little close. I might epically get sick. I don't know yet, but yeah, the closer we get, the more I'm starting to switch my schedule around a little bit on Friday.
Gotcha. Well, it sounds good. So we've got Pro Truck Elite coming up Friday night. We've got 350, and I believe we have an open bracket class, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So knowing what you know, Pro Truck Elite, I'll put you on the spot again. Pick somebody. Who you got?
I gotta go back to Curtis Combs. I hate to say it, but the man's a good driver. He's got a new blower on the car, and he's determined.
Very much so. Billy Teeters, we're gonna bring you in on this. Do you have a pick as well for the Pro Truck Elite?
I'm going to Earl Letner, dude. I mean, whenever I went up to the Larry Wagner race, he had that thing running real good. And as Tony McWethy said, they were getting faster and faster each pass. I do not know what he has done since then. So
I've seen him run a 317.
Okay, well that's
which is flying.
That's competitive in the class, though. I mean, what's
Very.
the bar? The 311's the bar right now, or wine time's the bar?
Yeah,
I mean,
he was the bar, and yeah, so
yeah. I have a source that says Earl has run a 312 since the Larry Wagner race.
Oh, see, that's fast. So maybe him. Oh, well, you know, I did forget about Todd Bilsma, but you know, I already said Earl, so I'm sticking with my guns. Earl Letner.
Bill's good. He's got to just get that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead, Johnny.
I was gonna say Bill's was good. He's just got to. I hope he worked through the blower belt issues. You know.
That's true. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna pick a guy that maybe hasn't run as quick as these other guys, but I think he's due. And with a little bit of luck, I can totally see him getting to that final. I'm taking Jason Vanderwall.
Oh yeah.
And breaking news, here we go. So Jason Vanderwall and the crew are going to attempt the double up that weekend. They are running Pro Truck Elite Friday night. They are loading up, and they are headed for the Texas Mud Drags event in Missouri on Saturday morning.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That is hardcore, buddy.
That's
about as hardcore door slammer as you get.
It really is.
That's impressive. So shout out to those guys. And you know what? I tell you what, and here's why I say, you know, with Jason and everything else, really impressed at the dedication there of, hey, they were one of the proponents that if that Pro Truck Elite class came about, they wanted to run it. And they're supporting the class, even though they're looking at a big toe come Saturday morning to get to their next, you know, deal. So shout out to them, and hey, good luck on both occasions, man. I hope it goes well for them, because that would be something to talk about.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So, hey, 350. Terry Wise has absolutely tore that class up. Can he do it again?
You know he can do it again. That's for sure. It's just whether he's going to do it again this weekend. Yes. But there's no doubt in my mind he can do it.
I feel, since we saw somebody go this well in 350. It feels like guys or girls get on a roll, and once you get a couple under your belt, it just seems to go. Devin Royce a couple years ago, Kathy Ellington, same way.
John, right, I did the same thing.
You can think of like that?
Yeah.
It's been impressive.
It'll be interesting to see who shows up for that 350 class with some of the Ohio guys traveling up. That might be a spoiler.
Very much so.
Never know who's going to show.
Good 350 class. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So
do you have any additional names that are coming, John?
I am not going to speak for anybody, but I know some that are trying to come and some that have planned to come. And until I see them come, I just ain't going to talk about them.
Fair enough. I can understand that. We could put somebody on the spot and just say, hey, man, you need to get here.
We should call somebody.
We should call somebody. That's an excellent idea. Billy, can you make that happen?
Call Blake Cole. You call him, John.
Me? We'll do it on another episode. We're going to call somebody out.
We'll call him next week on the preview episode.
Let's do it.
Do it right now. No,
he's at his kid's birthday party right now.
And that's perfect.
No.
I was thinking a dark horse, somebody like a Cody Embry showing up.
I'm calling Blake Cole.
You try it?
John, do you feel Embry's could make an appearance?
No, I don't, because they broke both cars. He's trying to get one of them ready for Brookville.
Sure. Understandable.
So
we'll give.
And he made 2 trips up this year. I was pretty happy with that. The guy really came out and supported for Larry and the Outlaw. So
Blake didn't answer the phone.
I told you.
Surprised. All right. Well, hey, Blake Cole, if you're watching this next week, buddy, you're getting the phone call.
Yeah. Phone a friend.
Phone a friend. All right. So that wraps up pretty much Friday night at Pro Truck. Saturday, we've got all our regular Silverback classes plus the Pro Truck Nationals class. John, give us a pick. What do you think? Who's stepping up in that class?
I got to go with my mentor, Jim Bailey. I mean, he come out swinging that last race. He surprised me quite a bit because for not driving for a while, he's sitting there knocking down lights like they were ice cream sandwiches or something. I'm like, dang.
Oh, and Jim is, I believe, top 5 in Pro Truck points right now. So
third.
That's true. Yep. So,
I gotta go with what I know.
Can Brian McQuethy hold on? I mean, he's got the points lead. All he needs to do is go some rounds and he can hang on. So,
oh yeah, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's got a great shot at hanging on to it. I mean, he's a damn good driver, and he's got a great race vehicle to back him up.
I feel like Tom Hartman Sr. and Kramer may be a little more motivated, being as they're this close this late in the year as well.
That'll do it.
I mean,
that will do it. The end of the year push, man, because everybody wants to go out swinging.
Yep.
Nobody wants to go down at the end of the year in the first round. That's for dang sure.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, a Pro Truck Nationals championship is one thing that has eluded Hartman. He's had a fantastic career, but that is one thing that is so far stayed out of his grasp. So be interested to see if he's a little extra focused come this time around.
It's amazing it stayed out of his grasp as long as it has.
I would agree. I think it really speaks to the level of competition there, which, I was also told at the Larry Wagner race, former champ Brian Jones is going to be ready. And he said, I quote, "Tell the rest of those guys playtime is over and I'm coming back."
I love it. And he's ready. He is ready.
He says, I know I can't win the championship. He says, but I can make sure a lot of other people don't either. So that is not a first round matchup I'd want to have if I was in the points chase.
No, you don't want to meet up with somebody that's got nothing to lose.
Exactly. You hit that nail right on the head. So should be an awesome weekend. Really looking forward to it. And yeah, for those of you that might, be kind of on the fence when you're watching this and thinking about coming up for the Pro Truck Nationals weekend, it is a huge weekend in the Silver Lake area. John, have you ever been downtown for the Apple Fest deal?
Oh yeah, but before we get to that, we ought to go with the, for everybody out there watching, there's classes for everybody, ATV, cars, trucks. It's not just trucks. So everybody remember there's sportsman classes and everything that goes along with it, jump in and come play.
That's right. All the regular Silverback classes will still be running at this event.
Yes, and it's points.
It is. That is correct.
So, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that so everybody didn't get a little bit confused. And I know there's questions that kind of surrounded it. As far as the Apple Fest, man, that's always a good time. I always go on Saturday morning, and I never really go down Friday night too much, so I couldn't tell you much about Friday night. They used to do barbecue cook-offs and stuff, but I think they got rid of that. So I became uninterested when they had no more ribs. So we go down Saturday morning, and they got a car show usually going on. Christ Cruiser's got rides going on, vendors, food shops. Man, they usually got a band going down there. No rumors, but I think there's a beer tent.
I think you're right, and I think they're also having some food trucks this year, so there will be some stuff down there, And I mean,
they got food trucks.
The Chicken Shack has got to have something special for the weekend as well. So,
absolutely.
And you're watching this, freaking Chicken Shack, man, get it together and put something together. Come on, guys.
Yes, get her done.
So
I went to the Chicken Shack a couple times this year. They had a couple good bands. I was impressed.
Nice, very nice. So should be a great weekend. Like I said, we're going to crown a champion for the Pro Truck National Series on Saturday night. Hand out all kinds of stuff. Got some special stuff in the works for that. So even all the way down to the kids. I know Scott Shyatt's got some really cool stuff for the kids, and it's going to be a fantastic weekend. Weather so far, I looked at the 10-day forecast today. It still looks really good, and the nice part about it is it's a little warm maybe during the day, but you get those cool nights, and fast cars and good racing, and I think it could be a really, really good weekend. Great way to kind of wrap up the summertime kind of season up there. So,
yeah, the forecast was what I was looking at. It's mid-upper 70s. I'm like, man, that looks great.
Absolutely. So, all right, so John Sword, final thoughts on either the Silverback weekend for Labor Day or the Pro Truck Nationals weekend?
I'm ready for both. I mean, I'm going to go up there and go to battle this weekend with everybody and have some fun. And then, of course, the big major battle will be fought out for the finale for Pro Truck points and Silverback off-road points all at once. So, yeah, I'm getting kind of amped up for that because, KW, if you're watching, I think I got you.
Man, hold on. You've already emotionally destroyed him. Do you need to pile it on at this point?
Yeah, I really do.
All right, so I was going to say, if you say no, you're off. I'm going to have Billy cut you
really do, because I'm going to bring that belt and show him who daddy is. Oh, I can't wait till our next video he comes out with after this.
Oh, man. I love it. This is great. All right. Well, that wraps up our time with the Silverback Off-Road Raceway non-points event coming up here Labor Day weekend and our preview of the Pro Truck Nationals weekend.
Hey, everyone. This week's podcast sponsored by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt is ready to put their over 30 years worth of off-road experience to work for you. From turnkey builds to rolling chassis to an awesome selection of parts, the Racing in the Dirt staff has got you covered. Brake kits, aluminum hub kits, enclosed chain drives and kits, drive shaft loops, and even DIY wheelie bar kits. all available. So let Scott, Shane, and the crew at Racing in the Dirt get you the competitive edge you need. Give them a call at area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. Or find them on Facebook or even racinginthedirt.com. That's racinginthedirt.com and the UPS Daily.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Paddle Talk Podcast. On this segment, we're talking all things Thunder Valley Sand Drags from their latest Point Series race. Billy Teeters was on site and ready to give us a full report. So Billy, take it away.
Yeah, I was there. I was working the staging lanes as I kind of enjoy usually doing. I think now we got a system that works very well for us, and it does well. And so just going right into these results here, Thunder Valley. Pee Wee's first place was Paxton Autry. Second place was Justin Mansfield. Paxton was a first-time racer, so it was really cool seeing him do that. And I think he was I don't remember what he was dialed in, but he had this really cool Honda quad. I think like a 450 or something like that. But yeah, he did really well. So
before we get any further, seriously, is there anything better than seeing a first-time? I don't care what class they're in, but a literally first-time new racer, and they even if they don't win, just going some rounds. It's like that's awesome. I like seeing that.
Yeah, and I think it's even more touching whenever it's the kids too. This one was really cool to see. So shout out to Paxton. Justin Mansfield's always a killer. Juniors, first place was Adrian Blake, and second place was Cody Gentry. Cody Gentry taking the funner approach. He used to run his Pro 1 Banshee in juniors, but he's running his little 90cc dirt bike or something like that, maybe 110, something like that, and he's having a ball. Adrian Blake with balling on a budget racing. Shout out to those guys. I know they've been it was a Blake girl was going to be in the finals regardless because she had to race her sister Ray Lynn in the semifinals. So
wonder what kind of side bet you get on that one, right? I mean, hey, winner doesn't have to take out the garbage for the next 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they should have done something like that. But it is bragging rights. I know Adrian was giving her a little, giving it right to her right after that win. So, into our sport and side-by-side classes here real quick. Sport ATV, which is basically open bracket. Everybody's just racing for a trophy. But it's all ATVs in this one. First place, Seth Curtis. Second place, Josh Cook Jr. And third place, Sophia Ashby. And then in sport comp, which is just basically your open bracket for the cars and whatnot, dragsters, buggies, Jeeps, side-by-sides can also run it if they want. Sport comp, you were talking about feeling good for those first-time racers. First-time racer at Thunder Valley, Bo Hart, driving his Chevy S10 that he goes mud bogging with. Yeah, he was dialed in a 6 flat, but he ended up getting the win in sport comp. He got the win over another first-time racer. The last race, she was doing a bunch of test and tune passes in this car, and this time she actually raced it. You actually know what it is, Isaac. It's the Gums old buggy that they sold to Ronnie Shelton down here. She's actually running that. They got a detuned because she is still new.
Yeah,
it ran like 5 something. I don't know, 5. I don't remember, 520s. I think I'm guessing. But yeah, 2 first-time racers basically getting first and second in the sport comp.
Awesome, good to see.
And then in our side-by-side class, first place was Mike Craybaugh. He dethroned Jamie Windsor, who got second place. Jamie Windsor, let me say this, because not a lot of people know who Jamie Windsor is. Jamie Windsor is probably the most winningest driver in Thunder Valley Sand Drags history. This dude wins on a Pro 1 bike. This dude has won many points championships on just a damn dirt bike. And he has done a lot of winning in his Polaris General side-by-side. And he goes rounds with it. He goes rounds in anything he races. It's crazy. But
K-Dub, maybe you could get with this guy and kind of refine your game a little bit, because it sounds like he might have what you're looking for.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
K-Dub could definitely probably get some lessons from Jamie for sure. But Mike Craybaugh getting the win after a little feel good story here, Mike Craball broke his Jeep last race and is done for the season. I believe a main bearing went out, and then he got a loaner side by side by Shelton's Racing, which Mackenzie Evans is the girlfriend of Hunter Shelton, who we'll mention just here in a little bit. Shane and Hunter Shelton loaned Mike Craball their side by side so he could race the rest of the season. So it's pretty cool to see that.
Racers helping out racers. What's more, feel good than that, right?
Exactly. And then in Pro Comp, which is our open bracket points class for cars, except now you're not racing for a trophy, you're racing for money. Your first place winner was Hunter Shelton, who was he's got a badass car. He runs 330s without nitrous, and you throw nitrous at it, he's running that 295 all day long. He's dangerous. He's a great racer. And then your second place winner was Craig McNeil, driving the world's fastest Yerf dog. It's basically a Yerf dog with a 900cc CBR. I think it's a CBR 900. I'm guessing. I think it is. I may be wrong. Somebody's going to correct me. I know that. That might be his Pro 2. You know what? I don't care. I'm rolling with it. And then speaking of Craig McNeil, he got first place in Pro 2 ATV, which is our points class for the slower bikes, slower ATVs. It's the 5.0 and slower bracket class. Craig McNeil getting first place. He defeats 10-year-old Riker Ballard in the finals. So Riker Ballard always going rounds on that KFX 700. He runs good numbers with it, 520s, 530s, 540s, depending on what the track gives him. But Craig going rounds for sure, getting first place in the Pro 2 ATV. And then Pro 1 ATV, which is for the faster bikes, is $499 and faster. Pro Tree, staggered start. And your first place winner, he took the win in Sport ATV. It's Seth Curtis. He doubled up, and he actually defeated Cody Gentry, who got second place in juniors. Cody Gentry getting another second place finish in Pro 1 ATV, which is actually big for him because he's new. He's still kind of new to going fast. And to see him get second place in Pro 1 is really awesome. And Seth Curtis is just a killer all the time. He's just chopping down the tree, all he does. And I'm going to plug him. If he's watching this, Seth, I'm plugging your YouTube page right now. Curtis Racing on YouTube. He has a GoPro on his helmet. He even puts one on the back of his bike sometimes, so you can get on board point of view perspective of what it's like to run Pro 1 ATV at Thunder Valley, courtesy of Seth Curtis. So check out Curtis Racing on YouTube.
Excellent.
So yes, those are our results from the latest race at Thunder Valley Sand Drags.
Sweet. Now, Thunder Valley was underwater. Any lingering issues from that? I think we've all seen the pictures. If not, I'm sure Billy can insert one here before this actually goes live. But that wasn't just a little water. That was that was a lot.
Yes, the track was about 6 foot of standing water. It broke 2017's record by what they said, 5 or 6 inches. It was pretty crazy. And it's funny. You would think we would have lingering issues after that, but it turns out, the massive heat wave that kind of came in right after the flood dried up everything pretty well. And it's pretty crazy, Isaac. We had these wind lights, right? When I came back from college and came back into racing, and we had these wind lights up at Thunder Valley, up above the finish line, and only one of them worked, and then sometimes none of them worked. And then ever since that flood came, last year sometimes they both would work, and then they would both work once, and then they just would never work again. And then ever since the flood, the wind lights have worked every time on both lanes. So that flood cleaned something out or something, because now the wind lights work perfectly fine, like they were just installed that day. I don't understand what it is, and nobody else does. But they work all of a sudden after the flood. It cleaned something out. I don't know. But now our wind lights work, so whenever you cross the finish line, everybody knows who wins instead of waiting on the PA announcer to tell you who won. You know who wins now. It's crazy. It's great, though. It is great.
What an upgrade. That's awesome. All right. Well, hey, great. That is awesome. And when is their next event?
Thunder Valley Sand Drags next points race is September 7th. A lot of stuff going on September 7th. Next points race is September 7th, and then we'll have another points race September 21st, and then our big granddaddy of them all, our biggest race of the year every time, September 27th, 28th, the Show Me Fall Nationals, where we will have top alcohol and top eliminator. We are adding some money to top eliminator this year. If there's 8 cars, we are adding $1,000, and possibly, not guaranteed, not confirmed yet, if there's 16 cars, we might add 2,000 to the pot. And when I say we, I mean sponsors. So shout out to those great sponsors that help us out. We cannot name them yet through Thunder Valley. But yeah.
Well, the big thing is we're about a month away. If you have a top alcohol car, Doug Venlet, and you want to let her all hang out, here you go, buddy. I mean, let's face it, right? You want to let it all hang out, and anybody else that I'll even go further. Anybody else that thinks they got a bad blown alcohol blower ride out there, whether it's 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, if you want to see where you stack up, that would be the race to do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing some of the Racing in the Dirt family out there. You never know.
You never know.
Maybe there's been some word about it already. Maybe there hasn't. You never know. But that added money is for top eliminator. But top alcohol is a $500 entry fee, 100% payback. So if there's 4 cars, you're racing for $2,000. So, and it's one of, not a lot of people know this. It's probably one of the I'll go as far as say it's probably the fastest track in the Midwest. I know there's Brookville, I know there's Shelton's and whatnot, but our track record is a 2:45 with a 0. Shout out and rest in peace to Rod Trower. Not a lot of people know that though. And now I got time to talk about it. Rod Trower set the track record some time ago, probably about 11 years ago at this point now. But he set the bar basically 2:45 to 0, and it still holds to this day. Jim Hammond came down, ran 2:42 with a 9, but he couldn't back it up. But it's just Thunder Valley handles horsepower very well. We have over 1,300 foot shutdown. We even have an extra 600-700 foot safety shut down after that if you even need it after the 1,300 foot. So like Isaac said, if you think you got a badass top alcohol car and you can compete, I know Jeff Sig is looking for a challenge. He's got a 700 cubic inch monster with a 1671 blower. Randy Kimbley's always up for a battle. John Moreland, if he's still hanging around out there in the sport, we possibly see him this year. Who knows? Would like to. There's still some cars out there that can compete, and you never know. Maybe some Texas guys come join us. And either way, September 27th, 28th, Show Me Fall Nationals. That's the place to be that weekend for sure.
Absolutely. All right. So that's going to wrap up our coverage of the Thunder Valley race from this last weekend.
Hey everyone, this week's podcast sponsored by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt is ready to put their over 30 years worth of off-road experience to work for you. From turnkey builds to rolling chassis to an awesome selection of parts, the Racing in the Dirt staff has got you covered. Brake kits, aluminum hub kits, enclosed chain drives and kits, dry shaft loops, and even DIY wheelie bar kits, all available. So let Scott, Shane, and the crew at Racing in the Dirt get you the competitive edge you need. Give them a call at area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. Or find them on Facebook or even racinginthedirt.com. That's racinginthedirt.com and the UPS Daily.